Boundaries are rules that determine what is acceptable and unacceptable in a relationship. And when a relationship is over, it's important that those boundaries are clearly defined and to make sure that they are respected. So if you are going through a divorce, in this video, I will be talking about ways that you can set boundaries with your ex and how to make sure that those boundaries are respected and that you don't feel guilty as you try to enforce them. But before I move forward, I want to invite you to click the button below to subscribe to this channel if you want to receive more tools about relationships and how to deal with the heartbreak that they can cause sometimes, as well as how to maintain a healthy relationship. And click on the notification bell so that you will know when I do post another video so that you can be the first one to catch it. So boundaries are extremely important in relationships, and we cannot pretty much function without them. And even with our relationships with ourselves, we need to have boundaries. So when a relationship does break down through divorce or separation or even a breakup, it's important that we are clear on the boundaries that we do want to set so that we can allow ourselves to be emotionally healthy and we can take care of our emotional well-being. So why are boundaries important? Boundaries are important because they define the limits of a relationship. They define what is acceptable and what is not acceptable, especially when a relationship breaks up. It is important to be clear on what it is that is okay with you moving forward and what it is that is not okay with you. And I say this over and over again, especially specifically for those of you who are coming from an abusive relationship. Those relationships need clear boundaries that need to be enforced strategically so that we can enforce your safety, we can make sure that you're okay, and we can make sure that you are not in any form of danger moving past the relationship. And even if you were not in an abusive relationship, boundaries help you define what it is that is okay with you moving forward and what it is that is not. So, how do you communicate your boundaries to your ex? First, I would say before you try to communicate anything, there needs to be clarity on your end. Take some time, sit down, and figure out what it is that you want moving forward. As you move forward from this relationship, as it's ending, what is it that the relationship with you and that person, what do you want it to look like? Is it that you want to cut them off completely? Do you feel okay pursuing a friendship with them? Do you feel like you need them to just leave you alone completely and lose your phone number and never contact you again? What is it that you want? What are the limits that you want to set around that relationship? And I think the clearer you get on that, the easier it'll be when it comes time for you to communicate that to them. Then you can say more clearly, hey, this is what I want, and this is what I would like if communication is still safe with that person, per se. So now moving on to communicating to your ex what those boundaries are. Let's say, for example, you broke up with them and they are pretty much just continuing to call you, asking you what it is that they want to get back together, and you know that's not something that you want to do over and over again. You can go the route of just blocking them, but I find that that's just avoidance. I like to call it that because I feel like we have to be able to communicate to people what it is that we want as long as it's safe, right? You can communicate to them what you want, and if they're not listening, then we can get to those extreme measures of blocking them or not allowing them access to us anymore. And if that is what's comfortable for you, that's absolutely okay. But I want to say first, I would try to communicate to them what it is that you want. So perhaps you need space. You can ask for that and say that you, although the relationship is ending, you would rather not be in contact with them, right? That is kind of like cutting it off, but it's okay for you to say that if this is what you need. And if they're asking for that as well, it's okay for them to ask for that. And you need to be okay with what it is that they're asking you for. And the next thing, as we're talking about how to communicate it, it's as simple as that. You can send a text and say, "Hey, this is what I want." As you after you've gotten clear on your boundaries, or you can send an email that feels less intimate. You can do that. You can do a phone call, even as you breaking up. If you breaking thinking about breaking up with them and thinking about boundaries, you can have that same conversation and say, hey, this is what I want this relationship to look like moving forward. I don't want to have any more contact with you, and it's okay for you to say that. Now, if you do have children with them, that makes things more complicated, because with children there has to be communication, because if unless the other parent absolutely doesn't want to be in the children's life, there will be some type of communication that is happening between all of you. So you have to now get clear on what that looks like. It's helpful to come up with a schedule, and I could do another video on how to navigate children and that more specifically. But for right now, create a quick schedule of when they're going to have the kids and when you are, and communicate that, and make sure that the things, if they don't have access to your house, it's okay for that not to happen. Just figure out what you want and let them know what it is that you want, because if you do not feel safe around them and you have kids with them, it's absolutely important to then set those boundaries and communicate it clearly with them. The next thing is how to stick to those boundaries without guilt. This person has decided to walk out of your life, or you have decided that this relationship is not for you. Therefore, it is okay for you to decide to set boundaries for yourself. There is a part of you that might feel guilty. There is a part of you that might feel, especially if you're the one who's ending the relationship and you see the impact on the person, you might feel like even me doing even more might impact them even more. But sometimes creating distance between you and that person can be the best thing that you can do for your healing process, because you're not constantly seeing them and allowing yourself to relive certain things, because the brain remembers the good moments as well as the bad moments. So being in touch with this person and allowing them in your space all the time may not be the best thing. So I would say, like, take some time at the beginning, but over time, if over time, if you feel like you can loosen the boundaries a little bit, then that's fine. You can make that decision later, but I would say figure out what you need now and stick to it without any guilt, because you are allowed to do what it is that is best for you. And yes, it may be causing somebody else pain. Yes, it may be causing some emotional stuff that you're seeing in them, but it is no longer your responsibility to take care of that person that you're no longer in a relationship with. If there's anything that you can do to give them closure or to give yourself closure, sure, go ahead, as long as it's safe, and do that. But I think it's important to be clear on what it is that you want moving forward and communicate those boundaries through writing, through conversation, in whatever way that you need to, so that you can be able to jumpstart or continue your healing process. Of course, my goal is to always get you guys from a place of surviving, from breakups, from relationships breaking down, to a place of thriving where you can rediscover yourself and allow yourself to live the life that you want, even beyond those relationships. So here's the action item for today. So today, if you are thinking about boundaries, we're going to create a list of the boundaries that we want. So maybe your breakup was recent, or it was, even if it wasn't, create a list of what it is that you want from the person that you broke up with. What are the boundaries? What are the things that are allowed? What are the things that are not allowed? And once you create that list, then you can figure out the better way or the best way that you will be able to communicate that to them. Again, I am so proud of you for the progress that you are making and for the things that you are doing to take care of yourself and to take charge of your healing. I will see you in the next video.